What's up everybody, it's Kerry from Summit Racing and welcome back to the Hot Rod Shop. So today we got a killer video for you. We're gonna be doing some cut and buff on my 54 Chrysler. So what we're gonna do today is use Summit Racing's line of sandpaper and buffing pads. We're gonna start with 1000 grit, 1500, 2000, and 3000 grit sandpapers. So the reason we're doing that is because it puts finer and finer scratches in it. So that way, when you're buffing it, it's a lot easier to get those scratches out. Because basically what buffing does is puts finer scratches in it each time you do it. By the end, you're just gonna have microscopic scratches, hopefully. Once we get done sanding, we're gonna start with 3M number 1 compound with a twisted wool pad or our Summit foam pad. After 3M number 1, we're gonna go to 3M number 2. And with that, we're gonna use like a soft wool pad. To finish up after number 2, we're gonna go to 3M number 3. To do number 3, we're gonna use a soft black foam pad. And this should get it like almost microscopic scratches and stuff. So it's gonna be really cool. And that gives you that really nice, deep luster once you get done with number 1 and number 2. Also, you might have noticed that I'm not in normal Summit attire. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but the reason I'm doing that is because if I was wearing jeans or wearing a button-up t-shirt, when I'm leaning over the car buffing, I don't want it to scratch it. You know, your buttons on that shirt or that little like brass or nickel thing on your jean pocket that nobody knows what it's for, you know, you walk too close to the car, that can scratch it. We're trying to get rid of scratches, not add scratches. With all that laid out, let's get straight to work. We gotta start with sanding with 1000. So let's go, stay tuned. So what we're gonna start with, we got our 1000 grit on our kind of flexi pad. It's a foam pad on the hook and loop DA. That way it kind of conforms to the curves and stuff. So it helps you not go through the paint. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna DA this whole panel with 1000 grit. I'm gonna hit this real quick and show you what it looks like where you can see all the different stuff, but this is just fresh paint. This is not sanded yet or anything, but let's see what it looks like. This kind of shows you what orange peel looks like. So this is all orange peel in here. And then these little spots here are just little dust nibs that they'll sand out and everything too. But this is why you wet sand, to get rid of that and to get rid of the dust and the dirt particles, and then you'll get that really nice flat paint job. If you are gonna try using this rather than wet sandpaper, you notice that I changed the speed of it. You wanna go slower with this because even though it's 1000 grit, you can really go through quickly with 1000 grit even. Don't put it on the edge. If you put it on the edge, that will create ripples. You want to hold it flat. Hold this as flat as you can up against the panel. So, okay, now it's time to sand. So you also go through a little bit of paper doing this, but it's well worth it. It's just about the same as wet sanding. I probably would have gone through, you know, a sheet of wet sandpaper on this quarter compared to probably 2 sheets of this, but this clogs up a little bit. You remember what it looked like with the orange peel and stuff in it. This is what it looks like now. You get a nice smooth surface, which when we go back over it with 1500 will take care of all this stuff, the little smaller stuff, and you can still see a little bit of a nib of the dirt in it, which 1500 you can kind of focus more with the 1500 or the higher grits on that kind of stuff. So we got most of that drip out, but I can still feel it a little bit in there because, you know, paint's thick. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get a block. I use one of these old school, just half moon blocks for doing this stuff. I use other blocks when I'm doing body work and stuff, but this works great for this because I know it's super flat and I know it'll flatten this out. Get this in an older piece of 1000 grit. Just wrap it on there, hold it tight like that. Then you just kind of block it for a little bit until you see if you can get it out. And make sure you go each way because runs and dirt, you know, it might not come out one way, but it'll come out going all different directions on it. 1000 grit is shiny enough to where I can look down the side of it, and you might not be able to see the shine from on camera, but you can see it on the car. So you can look down the side of it and actually see that it's shiny enough to see where that run was, and it looks like, oh, nope, still a little bit left. But you can see if it's out or not. The other thing too is if you are gonna wet sand the car, if you notice how I'm going in an X pattern, so up, down, kind of at an angle. What this does is it helps you cover a larger surface, because, I mean, sanding isn't fun, but it helps to get it done quicker because you're getting a larger surface and you're not concentrating right here on this section, you're concentrating on this section. So it makes it actually straighter in the end as well. If you go straight, there's a chance of getting ridges in it or making it even wavier. Just a good rule of thumb is just to go in an X pattern. There's a lot of good reasons for it. All in all, to get a really good professional paint job and do really good body work, it's best to go in an X pattern because you get a more straight panel, if you will. Like these edges, they're really easy to go through. So what I would suggest is taking a piece of tape and just running right up against the lip of this so you don't go through. Now I've done this 500 times, so I'll probably still go through somewhere, don't get me wrong, but I have done it enough to where I am comfortable not having tape on it. There's certain spots I might use tape, but I'm pretty comfortable not using tape on this. I know this spot is really easy to go through as well because I went through it a few times when I was primering, so I had to keep reprimering it. So I'm not hitting that super hard with this. I might go up to the edge a little bit more. Like you can kind of go right up to that edge to get rid of that little lip. But it's usually best to go with a lighter grit there and just kind of, I guess, live with the orange peel unless you really take your time and really sand it like that. So there's still a little bit there, but that'll all come out with 1500. So another tip too, when you're wet sanding or sanding, don't use your fingertips. So it might look like I'm using my fingertips, but I'm actually using this part of my fingers right here to make kind of a flat surface. So if you use your fingertips, when you buff the car, you'll actually see exactly where you buffed or where you sanded with your fingertips. It's really cool and really weird how that happens, but trust me from personal experience, it's a pain in the butt if you do that, because then you have to wet sand it again correctly to get them out. So we got our 1500 on. What I'm gonna do is I'll sand this with 1500 and I'll show you how to kind of do here on the curves as well. One of my suggestions would be if you didn't paint the car and you don't know how much product is on it, if you don't know how much clear is on it, I would hand sand those curves, but I painted it, I know how much clear is on it, and I know how to do it correctly, so I know that I'm not gonna take it off. But with 1000 grit, I hand sanded all this just to make sure that I didn't go through anywhere, because right here on the top of this is really easy to go through. So, all right, enough talking, 1500. So you may have seen how I was going like this and then like this. So I had a dirt spot right here. And it still had that top little half moon thumbnail nib thing. And if it's not coming out going this way, go this way with it. And it should come right out. So next I'm gonna show you how to sand this top curve. We got the side done. Most of the big stuff that you're gonna notice, like actually all the dirt's out of it, it looks like. But we're gonna show you how to sand this top part here. This should be pretty easy now that it's 1000, but I just wanna make sure it gets a good grit or good 1500, and it's kinda gonna be quicker than the rest just because we're going over with 2000 and 3000. So when you're doing this, the curves, you want to kind of go up and over. You need to actually like roll your wrist to go up and over to do it. So. Now in here, down there's like a little trough that kind of goes like that, and it kicks up from here, the package tray area, goes down into a little trough and kicks back up into the quarter panel. You can sand that by hand, or with 1500 you're not going to hurt anything if you use this. So I'm going to use this quick just to knock it out and go from there. So next up, 2000. This one's quick, same with 3000. It gets quicker as they go by. All right, so we're done with 2000. That was, as you see, that was pretty quick. 3000 time. Nice, got it all wiped off, and let me tell you, it's smooth like butter. So this is where it's kind of weird. Like, it might look really dull to you guys on camera, but if you look down the side, I can see the reflections of all the lights, and it looks really good. Like, you can see it's starting to shine. That's where the 3000 comes in really handy, because it makes it start to shine. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna buff this and see how it turns out and see if we can make this thing look really pretty. All right, so we're gonna start with our number 1 and our chunky wool pad on our rotary buffer. So when it comes to rotary buffers, I am of the school where I like to go faster. It gets the paint warmer, helps go a lot quicker. My dad is of the school where he goes about half the speed I do, and he likes taking it slower so he can really work out all the scratches and stuff. But you know, I like going faster and I can still work out all the scratches. It's kind of a personal preference type thing. So, if, you know, work on it wherever you're comfortable. Use the speed you're comfortable at. You're still gonna get the same result either way. So, all right, well, get a generous dab of number 1 and then get the buffing. All right, so you can see it's already starting to kind of shine up. And you may see me tilting and twisting my head like it looks like a scene from The Exorcist. However, I'm doing that because I have lights all over the shop. And that way I can get the lights, I'm kind of following the lights in the paint to see and make sure that I'm getting rid of all the scratches. Like, you'll see me go back over spots that look super duper shiny, but it's because I saw some scratches in there that I want to get out. When you're buffing, you want this to go off the panel. So you want it to go like that. If it goes like this, it's coming up to the panel, and that's how you burn through these edges. You'll burn through every single edge if you do that. So the other thing I like to do is, so I'm going on to number 2 now. I always like to wipe off the number 1 because you're trying to get rid of those scratches. And if you leave compound on there, it's not gonna get rid of those scratches. You're just gonna use them again. So the next step, now that we got number 1 done, we're gonna go with number 2. So this is your number 1 pad. It's that, like I said, it's like that twisted braided wool. We'll save that for later because we're gonna need it again. And this is the weird little like bonnet, nice like sheep wool pad. This thing's actually really cool. It's going to get rid of a lot of those scratches, and it's going to be really nice to use. So if you pay attention when we're doing it, you'll be able to see, you should be able to see a lot of these scratches going away, and it getting much smoother and clearer. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but holy shnikes, it definitely made a difference. And once we get number 3 on there, it's gonna look stellar. All right, so now it's time for number 3 and our little black buffer pad. This one I like to put on the pad and then apply elsewhere if needed. All right, there we go. That's how you sand and buff. So up here needs a little bit more work, probably from about here forwards, and I still got to do the rest of it. So I just want to do this small part to show you how to do it, so that way you aren't sitting here for hours watching me buff this whole thing. So there you go, everybody. I showed you how to sand it with 1000 grit, 1500, 2000, and 3000. So now hopefully you don't have to be as leery or scared about sanding with a DA. Just make sure you're careful, low speeds. And I would say this still needs a little bit of work, a little bit of love. There's some real fine scratches in it, but I think that it should end up looking really, really nice once it's done. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.